Coding challenge review, intermediate, 21st of February. Question number 1. Create an array utility component. We solved that problem on Monday, I believe, right? So I'm going just to skip it straight away. Oh, that's a good question, actually. That's a really good question. I love it. Get all the divisible values. It's very interesting because this particular question, I believe, there are different ways to attack and to deal with the problem, right? So the question is pretty simple, right? We got a number, 12, for instance, so we want to get all the divisible numbers of 12. You know what a divisible number is, right?
And the rest is 0.
Correct. A number is divisible by 12 if the modulus, the reminder, is 0. That's why 1, 2, 3, and 4 are divisible numbers of 12, but 5, for instance, is not. What's the modulus of 12 and 5? Correct. Thank you. You know, when you are talking with people, sometimes you ask silly questions. The only reason why you ask these questions is to see if anyone is paying attention, right? Cool. Thank you, Poppy. So, I'm going to solve the problem using two different methodologies. We'll see if any of you had any third approach, which I'm sure, well, not sure, but it's quite possible. So I'll follow the natural approach, let's say, and then I'll do something a bit artificial, but equally valid, I hope. So we got a number, right? That's the only argument we got today. It's a number. And so to me, probably the easiest way to proceed is I'll do a for loop, right? For let I equals 1. I got the feeling that some of you put let I equals 0, which is wrong, and we'll see in a minute why this is wrong, even though it will work. But hey, let's leave it at 1 for now. Do you know why 0 is wrong?
Because of the rest of the division.
Correct. What happens if you divide the number by 0?
0. I got 0.
Really? Okay, let's think about something. What happens if you divide 10 by 1? 10 divided by 1 is 10. What happens if you divide 10 by 0.5? Wrong. 20. What happens if you divide 10 by 0.1? 100. What happens if you divide 10 by 0.01? 1,000. You see the number is getting larger. So, yeah, correct. If you divide by 0, that's infinite. Yeah? Which is something that computers don't like, right? So if you divide by 0, you may have problems. So that's why, even though, to be fair, recent versions of JavaScript, so they are strong enough to control this kind of situation, right? So if you try to get the modulus of dividing by 0, it's not going to blow up, right? So, still acceptable, but from an elegance point of view, I don't think we should do that. So, I is equal to 1, I is less or equal to number? Is 12 a divisible number of 12? Yes, it is. So then, less or less equal? Less equal, correct. Yeah? And then what? I++, right? So I'm creating an array of divisible values, right? From a semantics point of view, I recommend you to do that. If your function is called getDivisibleValues, then create a variable called divisible_values and return it at the end. That helps, hopefully, from readability point of view. So now, we can simply do if number modulus I equals to what? 0, correct. Then what? Correct. Push. I. Yeah? Anything else? Will this work?
Yes.
All right. Let's have a look. Yes. It does work, right? So that's probably, under my point of view, the most pragmatic or academic approach to this problem. But now, I would like to show you an alternative. You know, I'm not a big fan of for loops because I rather prefer to chain array methods, .map, .filter, .join. I find the code becomes more readable. Personally, you may not agree on that, but hey, everyone has a different strategy towards coding. My strategy is try to transform everything into an array and then do all the looping as part of the array prototype. You remember array prototype methods? We explained that yesterday in the morning, yes? Right. So, in other words, I want to create an array. I want to just have one statement. I want to create an array, and once I have the array, I will do filter. So I want to have an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11, right? So once I have an array of these 12 numbers, I use filter just to keep the divisible ones. That is more complicated to do than it looks like. Do you know how to create an array of 12 elements in JavaScript? What?
So array.length 12.
Array.length 12.
Array.length
Array.length brackets 12? Like that? No. First of all, array doesn't exist. What's array?
Oh,
Number.
Whatever the name of the array is.
That's not correct. You want to create an array. Can you use reduce? Well, eventually you can use reduce, but to use reduce, first of all, you need an array. We don't have any array. How do we create an array of 12 elements? Yeah? So in JavaScript, you can even try that in DevTools. You can do, I'll zoom it a bit. You can do new array. Look, you do new array, it creates an empty array. As part of the arguments, we can pass how many elements our array will has. So, if I want to create an array of 12 elements, can we do something like that? New array 12. Does it make sense? Okay, let's take that as a reference for now. So, let's create new array of number elements, could be 12, 15, whatever, and assuming that's an array already, then we can do .filter, right? So, well, can we do .filter? I don't know. So what do we have on the first element of the array? Empty. Because we don't want to have anything empty, can we use map? How do we transform an array of 12 empty elements into an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, blah, 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 blah? How do we do that? Can we use the rest? No. No, with the rest operator we can gather or spread the elements. But I don't want to gather or spread. I have the array of 12 elements. I want to stick to that structure. I don't want to do anything weird, right? So I'll show you a trick. What's the first value of map? Or the first argument? Map? Hello? The value, correct. Let's call it element. But what's the value of the element at the moment? Empty. What empty means, Rafa?
There's something there, but
Undefined. Undefined. Let's see if Jav is right. So if I do new array of 12 and I access element on position number 0, Jav is right. It's undefined. Yeah? Correct. So element is undefined. We don't really care about the value of the element. But remember, what's the second argument of map? Index. That's correct, Poppy. Can we do that? Look at how sexy this is. So for each element of the array, which is undefined, 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 undefined 12 times, take that element and then get back the index. So I want to create an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11. Will that create an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. or not? What's the first value of the index? 0, correct. But we don't want to start at 0, right? Yes. We want to start at 1. How do we change that?
Index plus 1.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. Index plus 1. Yeah? So then, hopefully, we'll have an array of 12 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11, yeah, all these things. Because this looks much better, now we can easily filter. We can just keep the divisible numbers, right? So how do we filter them? Well, we can do number modulus element equal 0. Yep. So out of the list of 12 elements, we'll just keep the ones that are divisible by the number 12, in the first case at least. So what do you think, guys? Will this work, yes or no? Is there anyone on the other side of the line listening? Not sure if they can. Yeah. Oh. Right.
I think it will be working. Maybe.
Maybe, right? Okay. So I'll tell you something. That won't work. And that's the reason why I said before that dealing with this kind of empty arrays is more complicated than it looks like. Let's see what happens if we submit it. Wow. We always return empty array. Empty array? Seriously? What's going on, right? Let's simplify that. Let's remove the filter. Let's try to remove and to return. This is the problem in the filter, right? Let's see if we are filtering too much. So what happens if we just return the map? Will we get an array of 12 elements? Oh, what's that? We get an array of 12 nils. What's going on? That's pretty exotic, right? The problem here, this is a problem with classic JavaScript. So the problem with classic JavaScript, one of the problems of classic JavaScript is when you do new array of 12, what type of data do you expect to get back? A string, an object, a function, an array, a boolean, a number? I got time. Yeah. I got lunch already. So. A string. Why a string? Right. Let me simplify the questions. All right. Now it looks better, right? So in theory, if you do that, my array should be an array, right? Do you agree on that? And actually, can I do array dot, if it's an array, can I do array dot length? Ooh, I'm sorry, it's my array. My array dot length, I think I call it, right? My array dot length. Cool, 12. Success. It is an array, right? Wrong. It's not an array. It's not an array. because of any weird and obscure reason, new array doesn't return an array. It returns something that looks like an array, behaves like an array, but it's not an array, right? So even though you can get the length, you can access the first position, the second, that's not a pure array. I'll show you a subtle way to realize this is not an array. If I do, if I create an array of free undefineds, look, undefined, 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 this is an actual array. That's an actual array. But if I try to do the same thing using new array of free, you see, it's not the same. Even though the values are the same, and even though whatever that means, it has the prototype array, you remember the prototype, yeah? In reality, new array doesn't return an actual array. So if you search on Stack Overflow how to transform an array-like collection into an array, there will be two types of answers. The classic one, which is a big chunk of code, you loop over this array-like collection and then you push into a new array, blah, blah, blah. Or, fortunately, one of the, this is a test alarm, unless you start smelling something, with modern JavaScript, you can do something very sexy called array.from. And look at the difference. You see? Array.from literally returns the same thing as creating the array manually. Array.from will do its best to transform something that looks like an array, smells like an array, but is not an array into an actual array, right? Yeah? So it will check the enumerable properties of the array, like, and then it will map them under the hood. So this is pretty convenient. Why? Because thanks to array.from, now we can here do array.from new array. Yeah. So that will hopefully return an actual array, and because that's an actual array, we can map, we can filter, we can do whatever we want. So if we try again, boom, it works. That was the most important aspect in this approach. Again, I probably feel this is not that natural unless you are very keen to deal with arrays, like it's my case, right? Any question? No? Let me have a look to what you did here. So, oh, Ashley, it's interesting. Oh, look. Oh, that's a completely different approach. Whoa, 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 whoa. I wasn't expecting that. Ashley.
He's commuting. He said that he sent you a message that he was commuting.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Rafa. Let's try to understand what Ashley did. Right. I'm not going to review that because I'm very interested on hearing his thoughts, because it's an interesting approach, but to me it feels everything but natural. But hey, maybe he can argue, right? And I'm not against that. I just want to, I'm very interested on.
Can I ask what you mean by not natural?
Well, because it took me 30 seconds to understand it, right? And the question is simple enough to, for instance, I'll give you an example. So I read Dave's solution and it's like, yeah, that thingy, right? This is the expected solution, right? For loop, right? He creates an array. So that's essentially the easiest way or the most readable one. That one is not natural at all because look at what he's doing. He's created an array-like object, then he's getting the keys, and because this is a collection of enumerable objects, getting the keys will give you the index and the indexes, and then he's spreading them into a comma-separated list of indexes, and then he's gathering them into an array, right? To me, that smells to Stack Overflow, right? Which I don't particularly like, but hey, again, just wondering. So that's why I would like to get his feedback, right? And again, is if he is able to give a good explanation, it could be really good, right? So again, I'm not against that. I just find it a bit hard to understand. But if he can help us to understand why he did that, you know, that's absolutely fine. I completely respect that. Jeff, same thing as Dave. And that's it, right? No one else saw the question. Was it that complicated? All right. Cool. Question number 3, I believe, right? Question number 3 is remove number properties. That's an easy one, right? We have an object with some properties on it. Could be strings, could be numbers. So what we want is essentially, we're going to strip the numbers. We're going to delete the properties, the key values, where the value is a number. In that, the first example, the first value is a string, keep it. The second value is a number, delete it. Yeah? So I believe we can easily solve the problem using reduce. We got an object, so then we can return before I forget, return object.keys, object.reduce. So the first value are, I'll call it accumulator for now, unless you have a better name for that. Do you? No? Cool. And the second property will be, you'll tell me, what's the name of the second argument? Key. Thank you, Poppy. We got the key. So I want to return a new object, right? So that will be my default value of reduce. So essentially here, this is as simple as doing if type of object key is not a number. Yeah, if it's not a number, then what? Anyone? Anyone on Hangouts? All right, I'll start typing until someone gives me the answer, right? Key. What else? Jeff?
Accumulate the key.
Yeah?
Accumulate and inside the bracket key.
Yeah? And then what else? Equal.
Object key.
Object key. What do you think, guys? Do you agree with Hazel or not?
Oh, wait. Just a second, please.
Just a second for what? You give the answer, right? Are you?
The right answer, I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I do know if that's right or not. I'm just trying to get some feedback from your colleagues. Who said that?
David.
David thinks it's good. Okay, I agree with you both. I think Hazel is right. Yes.
Yay!
Thank you, Hazel, for bringing some emotions to this very cold session where no one is participating. Cool. And then what else? Is that it? Yeah? What do you think? Yeah? So will this work? So Jeff says, okay. Who else? I don't know. Rafa, what do you think? Not sure.
I have no opinion.
Poppy?
I think it needs a command statement in reduce because you've got the
Right.
There's no return, no?
Yeah.
Return.
Yeah. Return what, Poppy? App key.
Yeah, return
Ack or ack key?
key.
Ack key, like that.
What's the value? What's the other side of it? Just so we can
Not add key. Add.
see the.
Right, ack or ack key, and why? Jaf. Ack, yeah, so Azel and Jaf are right. We want to return the accumulator. What happens if we return ack key?
Just overwrite.
Correct. Correct. It won't work at all because on the next iteration, instead of passing an array, an object, we'll be passing what? What's the type of the data we will be passing to the next iteration if we do ack key?
The keys.
String, that's correct. That's correct, Michael. Could be a number as well, eh? But it's definitely not an object, right? So that's not what we want. We want to keep dealing with objects, keep passing the object to the next iteration, right? Cool, let's see if that works, guys. Awesome, right? All good. You see how simple the question was, actually, yeah? Cool. So, let me see what you did. So, Ashley, pretty much the same thing, right? If we got a key, if in this case, instead of checking if it's not a number, he's checking if it's a string, which in that particular case is pretty much the same thing, effectively, yeah? Because we just have strings and numbers. Dave is slightly different, so, but anyway, so it's using map instead of reduce. I don't get that, Dave, because you use map and then okay, fair enough. So he's looping over the array of keys, and then if each individual value associated to the key is not a number, then he's essentially adding that value to the array, to the object that has the non-numeric values. Okay, I found it a bit more complicated, but that's fine. Yep. What else? Michael. So Michael, at least he's being honest, right? Another question for Michael is, after copying it, is to understand, yeah? I'm against copying, but I respect you copy and paste it, if at least now you make some efforts, right? No, I know you can, but the only reason why you didn't paste is because you cannot paste anymore, right? No. I hope it got clear after the review, Michael. If not, let me know. And Jeff, interestingly, Jeff is using something different, for in. So for in works with with iterable properties. So an object is iterable, right? Because you can iterate on it. So then pretty much the same thing, right? For let key in object. If it's not a number, then, add it to the alpha person. Why do you call it alpha person?
It's not numeric, it's alpha. Alphabetic, numeric.
Oh, all right.
Alpha person.
I was thinking about the alpha male, right?
Yeah, so it was a fun, okay?
Right. Yeah, I got enough semantics for today. Do you know any way in JavaScript how to check if something is a number or not? So for instance, if I have let name equal Jaf, how do you check if Jaf is a valid number or not? You can do type of, right? Type of name string. So if I got let age equals 12, type of age, type of battery manager, interesting. Thank you, Google Chrome. The type of age is number, yeah? But now, so there is a different way to do that. You know, I'm not thinking, how was that? Yes, correct. In JavaScript, there is a function called is not a number, yeah? Is capital N, small a, capital N, right? So with is not a number, we can pass something, hello. It will return true if it's not a number, because we want to see if it's a number. If we negate it, you see, not is not a number means it's a number, yeah? It's a bit weird, but it makes sense if you think a bit about it. So if I pass, for instance, a proper number, it returns true. If I pass a string, it returns false. So that could be an alternative way to determine whether a given variable is a number or not. I think in modern JavaScript, no, number is number? No. Okay, ignore me. Right, so yeah, that was question number 3. And the last 2, I'm going to ignore that one, is lab year, because we essentially review it on Monday. But that doesn't mean I'm going to skip your solutions. So, is lab year, here you go. Here you go, right? And it's very interesting to see the different approaches. Ashley, Jeff, and Rafa, they follow the canonical approach, right? Of checking, doing some maths. If the year is divisible by 4 and blah, 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 then it's a leap year. But then I particularly like Dave's solution because it's completely different. You can see it's shorter, right? And I really like it. So can anyone tell me what Dave is trying to do? What not was trying, what he managed to successfully do here? Correct. This is very smart. It's very pragmatic, right? So he's essentially getting the year, which is a number, right? 2010, 2011, whatever. And then he says, okay, I'm going to set the date to the 29th of February. Remember, months are zero-base in JavaScript. Days are based on which number? What's the base name of a day? 1. Why not, right? Months start at 0, days start at 1. Drax, maybe. Cool. So this is the 29th of February of the given year. So then he said, okay, I'm going to set that date. If it's a valid date, that means that if I do the get date, it will give me, yes, that's the 29th, right? But if it's not a valid date, like the 29th of February of 2019, that doesn't exist. JavaScript will internally refer to when? To the 1st of March, correct. Correct. So this is a very pragmatic way of solving the same issue, yeah? Because we are delegating into JavaScript the responsibility to determine whether that's a leap year or not. It's a more automatic mechanism. Cool, well done, Dave. I know Dave tried that on Monday. It didn't work, you remember, but now this time he managed to solve it. So that's really good, I like it. Question number 5, again. I got the feeling we got the same question all the time, right? Worst movie ever. We've solved that like 20 times already. Which means I'm obviously going to skip it. I'm not even going to see what you did. So that's pretty much it, guys. Any question? No? Any question, Hangouts people? Dave, Mo, Bala, Aisel, Ashley?
No, thank you. David, no, thank you.
Cool. Great. That was it for today. Thank you, guys. See you at 2 p.m. with a review of Expert.